Ngozi Talk Shows family is sponsor here at Ngozi Talk Shows. Find your own voice, lead from within. With me today, I have Shireen. How are you, Shireen?
I'm fine, and you?
I'm very well, thank you.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. And
I know you've been doing some amazing things I've been seeing on Facebook.
Oh, yes. Been working hard.
Yes, which is lovely. So you're going to, something new, a new announcement is going to happen, or we're going to see something soon. Very exciting.
Yeah, very exciting. Been working really hard. We finished the book now, Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency book. So we're gonna launch it online. Me and my guy that is helping me. So we're waiting for the website. Guy is not responding, but if it's not responding, we might need to go to the page where we build the breakthrough challenge and build a page there.
Yeah, it's probably going to be your best bet right now to put, at least because people want to buy it, so it can then go straight through to a sales place, can't it? So that's probably a good idea anyway in the interim.
Just to create a separate landing page.
Create a separate landing page on your CRM. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because we thought maybe we need to create it on the website.
Well, you can put it on the website and have it if you've got a payment page on there. But if you've already have your breakthrough challenge on a CRM that's already doing a process, a funnel, then put it on there. Yeah.
Okay.
And whatever other offers you would put with that.
Okay, sounds good.
It sounds an authentic thing to do.
Oh yeah, it is really good. Yeah, I'm excited.
To the
topic. Yeah, so our topic today is very, very exciting. We're doing part 2. Live for yourself, the power of authenticity. So we're going to, yesterday I did talk about it, and we're going to remind you guys, those who are watching, that it is very, very essential to actually remind yourself that you cannot live your life for others. And instead, you must live for yourself and prioritize your needs, your desires, your passion. And this video is going to inspire you how to live your authentical and passionate so you can live a fulfilling life. Hopefully, we're going to connect with you guys. What do you think about the topic, Shireen?
Well, I wasn't here and I apologize because I didn't actually listen to it yesterday. But I think, one of the things that I've been really looking at is how do we live our life authentically? How do we live our life for ourselves? And also, how do we do that in a sense of being able to live it to the fullest extent of our life? So with that passion and with that purpose. And I suppose there's some things which I'm just really paying attention to, which is really for people probably to remember, and you talked about it yesterday, apparently, which was part of the benefit or the importance of living authentically is because it really does benefit you in the sense it allows others to respect you. And it also allows you to start to realize your potential, your happiness, and your well-being. So when we think about just living for yourself, this is not a selfish thing, right? It's a self-for thing, because we have to take some space in the world. We have to take space. And because we're taking space, we grew from a very small little thing into this being that has space. And having that space means that space has needs and wants and desires. But it also has something which people don't really recognize, is that it has a soul that says, you are here to do a purpose. You are here to show yourself. And part of you showing yourself is about taking care of yourself, looking and learning to love yourself, and be able to see yourself as the being, or as the essence that is in, as the essence of life, really. And so for me, the idea of living for yourself is really about taking a real active managing state where we make good decisions that allow ourself to be healthy, allow ourselves to be well. Because if we're not healthy and we're not well, it's very hard to fulfill our purpose. We have no energy, we can't fulfill a purpose. Not easily, anyway. It'll be more of a push energy rather than a pull energy, where energy pulls us along and says, hey, let's go. But if you're not living for yourself, you're not building the energy in yourself that you can then feel the energy pull you. Yeah. So that's what I was kind of thinking when I started focusing a little more on the living of the authentic self. But we also know that anybody that really lives from their authentic self, they are happier. Yeah. They have more positive emotions. They have higher self-esteem. They are more likely to have friends, be connected, know how to have good relationships. You're a relationship coach. So if you're not living for yourself, you can't see other in you, right? So you can't make those kinds of relationships work. So when you live for yourself, you know your needs, you know what to ask for, and you take away the confusion. So other people know that they can either match that or not. And that way there's no chaos, there's no dissonance in any way. So yeah, for me, that's really important, particularly in our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with others. And you, what else have you got to add? No, I'm sorry, you're quiet.
I'm muted. I love that, Shireen. When you talk about the energy, that if we are not living life for ourselves, we are not actually building the energy for ourselves. It's more like we are actually fighting against ourselves. Yeah. If we don't live for yourself, because that inner child will be crying inside of us, wants to be recognized, wants to live the life that it should be living. But if we are not living ourselves, then that means our expectations are not being met, and that can cause frustration after frustration. And this is a world where is influenced by society and the pressure. And imagine if that pressure, and then you have this thing where you don't feel that your life is being fulfilled and you're living for others. That means you are living in an anxiety life, anxiety, depression. But if you were to actually live for yourself, instead of pleasing other people, then you'll be able to be happy, and you'll be able personally to grow, personal growth, and you'll be able to live authentic life. You'll be able to live a life with joy, happiness. Is those little things in life that we take for granted that brings joy to our lives. So if you are somebody who's living for your parents, some people, they are like, I can't do this because I don't want to upset my parents. Yeah. To me, I'm like, but if your parents loves you that much, they want you to live your life, they want you to be happy, travel around the world if that's what you want to do, do the things that you want to do. Forget about anybody else. Your life, every person here on earth, they have a purpose. They have an assignment that they need to complete. So imagine if you have not completed that assignment and you're not living the life that you should be living. And many people are not living the life that they should be living. And it's really, really sad because you can actually, I live my life. Myself personally, I live my life, and sometimes people they comment. Why do you do the things that you do? Because I want to. Sometimes you might lose friends. You might lose family members because they don't understand the person that you want to become. But once you become that, people will follow. They will come. If they are real, there's people who are not real. People who are not authentic, who never want to see you succeed. So if you want to spend your time convincing them why is it important for you to succeed, you will spend all your life trying to convince people. So the best way for me, the best advice that I can give you is just live an authentic life. And those decisions has to be based on you. My life, I live my life based on me and God. I don't hurt nobody. I just live my life. I ask God, what do you want me? What do you have for me? Show me any secret about my life that is hidden that can move me forward. If he shows me, I go for it. And people will be like, that's big. There's no way you can do it. People can't do. I'm like, that's why we're different. We're unique. I can do this.
Yeah.
So just go for what you want. Don't know what you think, Shireen?
Yeah, and I think we also need to acknowledge that we are very lucky to be living here, certainly in a place where we can talk out, speak out, and do much what we want to do. And I think we need to honor that, because I think there are a lot of other places in the world where there isn't that ability to be able to just do that, and we're living mainly just in survival, right? And even though we may have the, even though we may have the illusion sometimes that they can, in reality, when they start pushing the boundaries, because they're so caught in other stuff that's been there from before, they kind of might choose the wrong way to approach things. And so what happens is it snowballs, and they say, yeah, I tried that and it didn't work, so I'm not going to do that again. Or this is dangerous. These are the things that, so I think that one of the things is, one, to be deeply grateful that we do have, I am deeply grateful. I am so grateful that I live here where I can pretty much do what I want, right? I can't do things illegal, but I can do things that I want, but I know where the boundaries are. And I think good, healthy boundaries are very good to know what's right and what's wrong. And we also know our body is a healthy boundary, because if we start really packing on the weight and we start to feel heavy and we start to feel we can't run or we can't do things anymore, then that's our body telling us we need to be different, right? But the call to comfort can end up being so hard, because our body, once it learns, I think we only start to do things because we've got some trauma going on for us, some systemic social trauma that has been carried either from an intergenerational situation, or we're in a social situation, or we're actually in an environmental situation, like if you're in a place where there isn't enough sunlight, right, for example. So different groups of people will experience different kinds of challenges. But I think what's important is that we connect to ourselves so that we can start to manage whatever it is that we need to manage in order so that we can do the things that we really want to do. And, some of the time, I think sometimes I'm always thinking about Victor Hugo when I think about a situation. He was in a concentration camp. And he said, they can take everything, but they can't take this. They can't take who I am. They can do what they like, but they can't take who I am. And even if I choose and I die, that's a different story, but they won't do that. And for him, it was so important to stay in that authenticity of being connected to himself, to be able to talk to himself and say, you know what, today, it's going to be hard, but we're going to get through it. Giving himself that wonderful ability to see the truth and at the same time have the courage to move through it. And I think that it's so important that we kind of, one, acknowledge where we are and be grateful for that. And two, really commit to ourselves. commit to ourselves and allow ourselves to begin to blossom. Because when we've been traumatized, it's quite hard to blossom. You know, it can be really challenging, because the call to comfort to what we know, what we've survived, is much stronger than the unknown, which our unconscious mind doesn't like. Our conscious mind says, I want to go there. And our unconscious mind says, we haven't survived that yet. We've survived this. We want to stay here. And it really does make a big bit of a push-pull in our body. And that makes it really difficult. So I would suggest one of the things is to really get to notice what's going on for you, really get to be curious about you, curious about the sensations and the feelings that come to you, and see them as a wake-up. For example, if you're angry, angry is just telling you that there's an injustice somewhere. There's someone stepping on your boundary, right? Or if there's a sense of shame, well, you know what? You're living somebody else's expectations. You're not living your own. So then you need to ask yourself a question, what do I want? What's my needs? What do I want? And yes, it's going to be challenging, but you've got to start somewhere. Start somewhere. And that is just really taking the time to be committed to yourself, because you can't live for yourself if you're not committed to yourself and your health. You know, recently I'd noticed that for a while I had stopped monitoring what I was eating. There was things I had kind of realized I was, even though it felt like I hadn't been in a depressed mood, underneath there was, and I had picked up weight. And it took me a while to get myself to the place where I could actually start thinking of a possibility of going on a regime where I could easily lose weight effortlessly and easily. And so I then started recently doing intermittent fasting. So I'm back on track where I was 5 years ago. But I think it was a real acknowledgement of looking back and saying, you know, that was hard. But I can see you. I can see you, and I know that you are worth it, right? And that actually for you to do your job, you have to have energy. So I kind of started thinking, well, if I have energy, what will I need? And I started to ask those questions. Oh, well, you know, I need to do a little more exercise, not too fast. I need to do a little more in the sense of my weight. I need to do a little more with putting more joy in my life. Just really looking at all my little needs that we need. And they are different. You can look at the Wheel of Life or any of those kinds of things where they talk about the different scale of our lives, the different relationships we have, and then just see where you are in them. And then, okay, recognize that there's some bits that might need some adding, you know. So, and just focus on there and do it nice and gently and slowly in the sense of real focus and commitment, but not like hard focus, but it's like saying, you know, we're going to do this, really encouraging yourself. Yeah, that feels to me kind of a really important aspect of this. Muted.
I love that, Shireen, that we need to commit to ourselves and be curious about life. And you said to be curious about life and the little things that we do for ourselves. That makes a huge, huge difference. I always said to myself, if I was to actually date a man, I wouldn't date a man that wants to tell me what I can do, what I can't do, because that would be really, really frustrating for me. And it's always been my prayer that God, please connect me with somebody that can help me to actually become the person that I need to be, I want to become. Because each and every day we learn more about ourselves, and it requires work. It requires you to actually Look at your needs, look at your desires, look at your values, what makes you the person that you are, and what makes you the person that you want to become, and the things that you need to do as a person, and what can you do to become that. And is there anything else that can help you to develop that person to actually manifest? Because every dream that we have to manifest that dream. And it requires a character, it requires an image, it requires to understand our values and our beliefs. It requires us to have boundaries, understand our boundaries when it comes to life. It requires us to know the principles of life. And it's very, very important. And you mentioned that they can take everything, but people cannot take away who I am as a person. And I think that is a very, very, very important question when you ask yourself, who am I? I love these questions, and all this question to ask myself, who am I? And also, why am I here on earth? What is my assignment? What's my purpose? I love to ask myself that question, because if I know who am I, then it helps me to actually work on the person that I want to become. And people may come and talk you out. Never let anybody take you out of what God has in store for you or your destination, because your destination is yours. You need to fulfill it. And if you don't fulfill your destiny, you will live a very, very frustration life. And for me, I love to live my life. I always tell my children that I always tell them to live a life themselves. And because also I always say, like, sometimes my daughter, you find that she wants to travel, she goes on a school trip. The school trip will present them with the different places. So she'll be like, I don't want to go that way because my friends are going that way. So I'm like, you're not going on a trip for your friends. You're going on a school trip to enjoy, to rediscover yourself. Your friends are going on a trip for themselves. So when you choose a trip that new things. We need to experience new things, new environment. If your friends are not there, you can still make new friends. And as she was argue, but then when she goes, she come back and she'll be like, I'm glad that I did go on this trip because it was amazing. So everything that I did from a very young age, I don't do things based on my friends. I do things based on what I want. And even my parents are the ones that taught me to actually become the person that I am. That you don't, my stepdad used to preach. He will preach, and all his grandchildren and everybody else will be like, oh, he talks too much. When is he going to stop? Me, I would just listen. I would just sit next to him and listen to him talk. But as I'm getting older each and every day, I realize that he actually made sense. My dad made sense, that you have to live your life based on what God has in store for you, because our destinies are different. We are unique. That's what makes us. That's why we have different names. We might come from the same blood to a different blood, but our names are different. When we are being called, our calling is different. You might be called, you help women with pregnancy to actually cope with their pregnancy. And a pregnancy is a heavy thing. It's too heavy. It's big. You need your mind, you need support. So you help with those women, but that doesn't mean it's my calling. So I can just listen to Shireen talk about her calling and just support her and just let her know that I'm there for her, but it cannot be my calling. I said to my sister one day, she went to school with her friend. They started a business together and things like that, but the business was very slow. I said to her one day, do you know that sometimes when you, and then I said, no, that was my brother that I told him. I said to him, just because you guys are friends, it doesn't mean your dreams are the same. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions in life and make decisions based on what you really want in life, because it's very, very important to actually create your story, write your own story based on who you are meant to become. Sometimes you might meet a friend that actually your destinies complement each other and just create a billionaire empire together or a millionaire empire together. It does happen sometimes, not very often. So you have to be aware and be open, not judgy people. Just look at the assignment. Why is this people in my life? And then just evaluate it. And maybe they're there for you to start a business, or they are there to guide you through life. Just go for it. But never ever do things to please somebody else.
Yeah.
It's not funny. Over to you.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. I mean, one of the things is when we have people, and I guess how do we find our calling is part of this conversation, I guess. And one of the things that while you were talking was, the idea that I work with pregnant women and you work with relationships, and there's a common ground. But I think what's so important, what you were kind of attributing to, is that we need to find our calling. We need to find what it is that lights us up, that lights our passion, right? And I think this is really useful. And remember we talked about the energy pulling you, right? When you find your passion, the energy pulls you, that it becomes easy. It becomes effortless. You have unlimited energy to be able to live your life in the way you want. So living your life authentically, living your life is living your purpose. And when we're little, part of our purpose is just to be happy. Part of our purpose is to be excited and curious and just enjoy and learn and make friends and do all those sort of things. As we get older and as more of our brain develops, we start to think very differently. We start to realize we have some unique gifts, and we also realize we have some that are not so unique. But in general, we realize we have unique gifts. And then later on, what happens is we conform to society in some way, and we then go and have a job, or we go and do something because that's how we've got to make money, and that's how we've got to live. And we go on this trudge and this grindstone on the grind mill that we just keep going on. So, and then you lose heart because you're not living your passion. You're not living what it is. Now, that's not saying you can't be in a job and be passionate. You can. You can be passionate about anything that you do. It's because no matter what you're doing, if you have to just do the table, for example, or wash dishes or whatever, you can still have to do that with passion. You can still think about, why is it important? What's important about this? Who am I when I'm washing these things? What does it give me? All of these kinds of questions start to activate you and start to make you think about this important job of washing your dishes. And it makes you wash those dishes much, much quicker. So we can motivate ourselves by doing just simple little things. But I think what's really important with the sense of our purpose is we need to think about all the things, one, that we're good at, all the things that come to us very easily, things that people tell us about ourselves, things we know about ourselves, and maybe even being aware of when we have a challenging event, sometimes we had those challenging events for a damn good reason. And when we look back and we heal whatever it is, we often see what was the beauty that we can give to others from that? So if, for example, we've had heartbreak in some area of our life, which is normally what often happens, it's looking at what led to the heartbreak, and then what does that mean? So for my example, I had infertility. I also did a lot of work with pregnancy. I worked with hundreds of pregnant women over my period of my career. And also I suffered with imposter syndrome. So I recognized all these things and realized, oh, one of the things that is part of imposter syndrome is part of the mother wound. I had a narcissistic mum. So part of that was recognizing that I had to notice that I hadn't had my needs met. And maybe some of the women that are from narcissistic mums end up being people pleasers, right? They give everything. And then society also overlays that. We see the pictures of the Madonna. We see the perfect mom. We see the mom that's going to give everything, to the excuse that she'll never rest for herself. She won't go and have those careers. She won't put other things on hold. She will be the slave to everyone. Now, I know you're not like that, but this is very common in a lot of countries, actually, still. And certainly here, it's still common. So it's about recognizing that there is this society learning that keeps us conditioned in some way, and we keep running those patterns. And also looking at the pain that you've suffered in relation to this. And what do you want to change the world? How do you change the world? What qualifications do you need or do you have to change the world? Because we're here to create a legacy. We are not here for ourselves. Yes, we live for ourselves, but we are not here just for ourselves. We're here to create a legacy for the world. And I think that even if we think about ourselves and say, I want to be the best person that I can be, as authentic and as loving and as open and as generous as I can be, that energy would resonate. So it doesn't have to be a very big purpose. If it's just that you have to deal with, if you've had a lot of trauma, then that might be what it is that you need to do. But that will transform the world in a big way, even if you don't know that. Because one person can affect 10 people affect 100 people. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 100 is what? 10,000. Right, so it just becomes incremental. That's how we change the world.
I love that we're here to create our legacy and the legacy of the world. I think that's really, really powerful because we're not here to just, there's some people, they know who they should become. They talk about it, but they're like, yeah, I don't want to do this because if I do it, my spouse will not like it, or they're like my family members or my parents will not like it, or my friends. They will not like it. So I'm thinking, what is the point of hanging out with somebody if you're not going to become the person that you are meant to become? And like Shirini, you talk about the energy. We live in this world where God created the universe. In this universe, there are blessings where you can go and grab your portion. While you are here on earth, you work on your purpose. What's my purpose? Who am I? And once you find out who you are, then you are ready to go and grab that portion that can lead you to actually to where you need to be. But if you don't know who you are and what your purpose, why you are here on earth, you won't be able to actually go and grab your portion. I always say, anyone that became a billionaire, they figure something out. And when they figured that something out, they believe in themselves. And when they fail, they were able to pick themselves up, or millionaires, or whoever became, anyone that is successful, there's something that they figure out about themselves that people who are not living the life that they are meant to live, they have not figured that themselves. They figure out things about themselves, that life is a journey. And you have to find it. You have to find yourself in that, through that journey. You have to embrace the person that you are becoming. Challenges come, you have to be able to pick yourself up. Divorce, me. Why am I having these problems? Les Brown says, if you don't want you to have problems, who do you suggest? So for me, I believe in the universe and the energy. I believe in God. I believe that God is he created this earth, that we need to create it how we want. He created it for us. So everything is ready for us. The question now is, are we ready to take our portion, live the life that we are meant to live, and add value to our community, to this world? Are we able, like he created this world for us to enjoy, to live a fulfilling life? When he created it, he never created problems. So problems are always there to give us strength. They are always there for us to rediscover more about us, because if life didn't have problems, if I was to start my business and the business, it goes beautiful and I'm dancing and having fun, it will be boring. Life will be boring. But the problems are the ones that makes life exciting, because when you're solving them through life, you get to discover more about yourself, or who you are, and you get to know you, and you get to have a relationship with you. You get to build that life. You get to grow through the problems. We're meant to grow through problems, not to actually feel sorry for ourselves. But this energy says, okay, you have your portion there. And you get up in the morning, you're like, oh, my life is so painful. I don't know, why do I have to go through it? But God says, I have your portion. Do you want it? It's like when problems comes, I tell the problems, I speak to problems.
Yeah.
I tell them, problems, I am aware that you're here. I'm aware that I have a destiny that I need to discover. But there are things that I can solve in life, and there are some things that I cannot. So those I cannot solve, I carry my burden to God. I solve what I can. What I can't, I take it to God. Before I can actually go and do something, I ask God. I tell the angels, because God is a spirit. I say, God, this is what I'm facing right now. We've got to get to work. Find me a helper. I don't pray and say, God, give me a miracle. I know God will give me a miracle through somebody. Find me a helper. Angels of God, let's get to work. Find me a helper. This is what I'm going through. So if I'm going through that pain, I put that pain in front of God. And I say, this is the pain that I'm going through. Find me a helper. If I need healing, I ask for healing. If I need a revelation, I ask for revelation. Show me something that can move me forward. And I have to desire that thing. I have to go all in 100%. There are no negotiations. I tell God I don't do plan B. I say plan B, God, is for losers. That means I'm a loser. Rewrite my story, but don't give me plan B. If this is my business that I've meant to do, I can't do plan B. Rewrite it. Show me how to use my creativity to rewrite my business so it can save people properly. And I've got my prayers here. Those who are my Christians, who believe in God, they understand my language. I talk about Joseph's dream. Joseph refused to live a life that wasn't fulfilled. He refused every challenge that was thrown in front of him. He kept refusing and kept fighting until he accepted his own palace. So I say, God, ordain my dreams like Joseph's dreams, my goals. I refuse to live in poverty. I refuse to live an ordinary life where somebody tells me, Nomsa, you can't do this. I pray for my helpers to come and help me, to appear everywhere and start helping me. I did acting the other day. Somebody just gave me a link and said, Nomsa, I think you like this. It took me 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours to fill the form. And I was getting tired and getting like, keep filling the form, and ChatGPT kept giving me the wrong answers. And then in the end, I said to ChatGPT, you know what? You can stay there on your computer. I am just doing my own thing now. Took me 2.5 hours. I filled the form and they accepted me. And in the end, I just went and did acting the whole day. It was tough. Yeah, it was, I've never gave people the actors the really credit, but now I've seen it with my children. When I'm taking my children, they do acting that is long hours, but I did it myself. I woke up in the morning 3:30 and I didn't get home until 8 o'clock. And I was the second call. The people that were first called, they got up at 2 a.m. And third call, they started to work at 1 o'clock, 1 p.m. So you have different people coming in. So I was like, I just can't complain, but I just have to appreciate God for putting me in this place where I'm doing gossip talk shows and I'm watching the people when they're filming. I was watching them, how they do the filming and stuff. And I was like, it's not an easy work. It's tough. Yeah. But it's got to be done. So all of those things that we talk ourselves out, we tell ourselves that we are not good enough. But we are actually good enough only if we can work on our confidence. Confidence is everything. Really, really everything. But there's one thing that I didn't like. I don't like people dressing me. That's what I did, party that I honestly, I like to take my time when I'm dressing up, and you can't dress yourself. Everybody's there. They assign you with somebody. Then you have to put your arm out and get naked in front of a person and just get dressed and stuff. And I was like, oh my God, for 2 hands, I can dress myself. And but it was part of the day, and I've learned so much that we actually take life for granted of what we could be when it comes to our talent, when it comes to the things that we do. I once watched what's her name, Beyonce, Alicia Keys, and these people they do everything. So I was like, how are these people able to do all these things? I think that was 2010. I asked myself these questions and I was like, they do everything, almost everything. They play every instrument, they dance, they sing, they act, they go on charities, they plant charities around the world. How are they able to do it? But now I'm starting to realize that you actually have to make time. You have to really, really make time for yourself. And if you don't make time, you can't do the things that you want to do. I don't know about you, Shireen, but for me, I've just realized that we have to create our own lives. Yeah. I saw the job with Aden University being advertised, and I was like, I don't need the job actually, but gossip talk shows, I like one day in gossip talk shows to be a university, but in order for me to do that, I need to hang out, listen to the students when they are complaining. I need to hang out with them, find out the negative things about universities and stuff. And in order to do that, I have to apply for this job. So I just sat there and applied for the job. I just applied it for fun. I didn't take myself very serious. I just applied it, and they were looking for a lead manager. And I've got a job, but I have to put the hours. The hours are flexible. I put the hours that I want. in that job. For me, I'm just learning. So everything that I do is like, Shireen, we are speakers, we are coaches. I'm just doing things. If I feel that there is a gap that I need to learn, there's something that I need to learn. I want to start I want to go to talk show to be a university, but I haven't got a clue about university. All I know is I went to study. I've done some research, but that's not enough. So in order for me to know, I've got to get in. That's what I did. Got myself a job to get in.
Yeah. And I think that's what, yeah. And I think what's really, I'm just going to come back to something that you said earlier on, which is really powerful and really kind of attracted my attention, was when you were talking about, I don't have a plan B. I only have a plan A. But what I was hearing was someone that was co-creating with, not saying, do it for me. It's send me the helper.
Yeah.
Send me what I need. I trust that it will be given.
Yeah, to
right?
get there.
I'm giving a request. Send me what I need. I will co-create with you, right?
Yeah.
I'll give you the direction where I want to go. And this is what you've just done now with Art and University, haven't you? What you've done is you've become a co-creator. You say, I would like Nkosi shows to be around in this kind of environment, or maybe be part of a university or a university in itself, whichever way you structure it. But you've got to know the ins and outs of creating something like this, right?
Yeah.
So the best way to do that is to be on the in, right? So you decided, well, okay, there's this opportunity. I have time. I don't know where you find it, but I have time. And because I know you're very busy and you have kids and you've got so many things. But you're willing to co-create in that relationship, right? And we're talking now in this case, a relationship with your dream, right? So that you can live that passion, you're making that passion bigger, and you're expanding it in a very profound way. So I think that that's a really important topic that I wanted to bring back to, because I think we often think that we must ask for things and then let's just wait for it to happen. It doesn't. It never happens that way. Very rarely do we get a lottery ticket, but did you know that most people that win the lottery are broke within 3 years? That actually a lot of the footballers, certainly that have been, certainly in America, a lot of the footballers that have earned massive amounts of money also end up being declared bankrupt. If you're not able to take care of yourself in the right kind of way, and you build the structures like you were doing now, I need to learn how to do this. I'm going to build that structure. We have to build the structures so that when fortune falls on us, we can use it. We can grab it and run with it, right? These are the things that are really important. And I know in my life, I've not taken opportunities when they were falling in my hands. And yes, did I regret them? Of course I did, right? And I didn't realize at the time that it was really my fear, because I didn't have the knowledge and knowing that I have now. But what's really important, and I would love that nobody has to suffer in the same way. So it's really important to just hear this, I think, which is you are a creator with the universe, or you are the creator with the dream that you're creating. And so that means you must say, I love that. No plan B. No plan B. At plan A, give me what I need to make plan A happen. And I will follow that, because that's what I want to co-create with. That's what I feel impassioned about. And that then brings those opportunities. So it's a real credit to you, Nomsa, that you're able to do that, and then you're able to share that. It's, so I just want to deeply appreciate it, because I think it's a lovely thing to be able to see and to model out for people here.
Yeah, it's important. Before I used to, like what you said, that I used to think that you pray and then you wait for a miracle to happen until
Haven't we all?
until my brother made a comment once and he was like, you know what, this person, he was making a comment about one of the pastors, and I was like, actually, that's what people think. People think you go to church and then the pastor will pray for you and then everything will be okay. But that's not true, actually. If this was true that I go to church and then somebody touches my head and then I'm okay, then life will be so brilliant. So then I realized, actually, I need to pray. I need to. No, it was when I was applying for my indefinite leave to remain in UK. I missed my match in Germany because the immigration hadn't replied to me. And I contacted my lawyer, and for her to actually write a letter to the Home Office to chase them up, she wanted the £600. And I was like, money is not a problem, but why would somebody want £600? That sounds like a lot of money to actually sit there and write an email and chase people up. So I just prayed about it, and I just looked at myself and I was like, I say I'm a Christian, but actually I'm not. My life is full of problems, delays and stuff. I need to learn how to use the Bible properly so I can fight for myself. So I called the Home Office myself, and the guy, he was really nice. He helped me. And we're talking through, and I was like, I need to write a letter. Tell me what I need to write a letter to you. I need to
That
write.
That is the only way. I had to do that with planning permission. I kept saying, what else do I need to write? What else do I need to write?
Yeah. So I was like, tell me what I need to write a letter. What do I need to write to you guys? I need to write a letter.
Yeah.
You are the immigration officer. You know what is expected when somebody writes a letter. So this guy is busy telling me. Then he goes, Nomsa, he goes, hang on a minute. You do have indefinite leave to remain. I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, yes, you do. And it was like, as I'm checking, you have two applications that are going. You have an application that you applied on your own. That's where you got indefinite leave to remain. And you have another application with your spouse. You need to close the application, and that's where it's causing confusion. So if I didn't ask him questions, I wouldn't have found out what my case. So I said, and he said, you were given indefinitely remain long time ago. I wouldn't have missed my match either. So he said, you need to go tomorrow. You need to get up in the morning one day and go to Croydon and go and get your papers. And so I went in the morning, and then I went to Croydon and I got my papers. And because there was a confusion. So he was like, the confusion is you yourself, you have to close the other case because they can't do it. If the case hasn't been closed to them, they have to carry on. So I was like, oh, okay, so I'll do that. But if I hadn't done that, my solicitor didn't know. I didn't know. There was a confusion that is delayed. So the reason why I'm sharing this is sometimes it is never, ever, when it comes to life, don't rely on people. You have to learn, even though you have helpers, people that are helping you, but those helpers, they need help too. So you need to contribute to that. And when you contribute to that, when I get my clients, I pray for them. If they tell me their problems, when I'm praying, I just pray for everybody that is in my life. I just pray God to actually protect them. I pray for protection. So anybody that is in my life, I make sure that whatever I do, I make sure they are protected. So I think that's very, very important. That is the journey. For me doing that, it helps me to understand who is Nomsa.
Yeah.
And where am I going? When I saying like, I don't do plan B. I don't. People may say, Nomsa, you have to. I don't. I believe that, Gary, I look at my destiny. I check myself out completely. I check the things that I'm doing. If I see that I'm in the right path, I'm on the right path, Then I ask him to actually hold my hands. And if I see something is not moving, I ask, is there anything that I've done that is causing this delay, that is causing this stagnation, that is causing me not to get to where I need to be? Have mercy. I just ask for mercy. I humble myself and I put him before my needs and I ask for mercy. And I can tell you that God exists. There are some people that say God is a mumbo jumbo. You have to understand, why are we here? If God is a mumbo jumbo, why are we on earth? For me, I prayed before. I didn't realize actually Bible is real. But when I listened to Tony Robbins saying with Jim Rohn, he taught him how to actually memorize the Bible. He actually it taught him to actually create his own destiny. Because the Bible is a destiny, everything. If you memorize your Bible, that means every time Tony Robbins has a problem, that means he can just say out the scripture. He can ask God some questions. God is a spirit, is a person, and they will respond to him. So that's why the many smart. Bob Proctor, they know how to use they understand more the power of paradigm. You have to understand the spirit world, the living world, how the life in the spirit works, how the life in the real world works. Me, I thought in the spirit we are the same person that we are in this world, but apparently we are not. Honestly, apparently we are not. No, we might be angels. Like if somebody is an angel, there might be an angel like Joseph, Abraham. They might be important, but they don't know, because we don't have the courage to go and grab our portion. So if anyone is watching Ngozi talk shows today, the advice that I can give you myself, that anybody else that has given me, I've met men of God, I've met women of God, I've met parents, I've met coaches. They all say different things, but they mean one thing. Unapologetically live your life. Be the person that God created you to be while you are on earth. Because if you do live your life based on somebody else, then you won't succeed in life. Taylor's dad goes, Nomsa, can you do your thing? If he wants to do something, he goes, can you do your thing? When you want the kids to apply for something. So I'm like, what is the thing that you guys keep talking about? Do your thing, do your thing. And the other day we were doing the application and he goes, do you have to do all this all the time, over one thing, over and over? I'm like, yeah, you've got to do it. And he goes, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, yeah, it doesn't make sense. But I do it because I have patience and I want my children to succeed. He couldn't understand it, why you have to do the application and then the other person has to come and ask you the same thing, and then you have to submit, and then you have to go to this department. And I was like, do I have to do this? I was like, yeah, you have to. If you want to do the thing that I do of succeeding, helping the kids to succeed, you got to do it. Sometimes you have to do things that you feel that, you know what, I don't want to do it. It takes an effort. My daughter the other day, she says, Mommy, I said to her, she goes, I'm going to need to take a 1 year gap and go to acting, but I'm going to need your help to do application. And I was like, you need to do it, because they all know that these applications, they take too much time, too much information, and you have to be asked the interview over and over. Me, I have time. I don't mind. If I want to succeed, if Shireen said, if I know that Shireen is going to help me and Shireen says, Noms, I'm busy, I stay okay. I keep checking Shireen. Shireen, are you free? I have time.
Just don't forget me.
Yeah, I have time. And I do have time to remind people. And also, I don't forget the people that have helped me. Where I've been, I don't forget. So look after the people. If you're watching, the people that help you to go through life, to succeed, look after them. And the powerful, powerful prayer is to tell God, if you bless me, this is what I'm going to do. Make a promise to him. He'll make things happen for you. Any words of encouragement, Shireen? Is 7 minutes past 2.
You know, I can only really echo a lot of what you've said. And I think that, which is absolutely true, make that commitment, make that prayer, make that plea. And I think what's really useful, and I think we don't think about, but the Bible tells us universal laws that they can't be broken. They are those laws. And the laws are, if you give energy to something, then it will grow, it'll magnify. This is a law. And in the same way, it's just recognizing how to utilize the law in the way that gives us our purpose, or gives us what it is that we want. So I think what really is important here, and I think my best and bit of advice is, one, know who you are and know who you're not. So that when things are coming against you, you go, no, that's not me. That's not what I want. That's not where I'm going. That's who I'm not. Try and know who you are in every single moment. That's a wonderful way to start, is just stand when you're doing a cup of tea. Who am I when I'm drinking this cup of tea? Who am I that wants this cup of tea? So that you start to create deeper, deeper, deeper connections to you and the you that's the bigger you that's outside you, right? They say that we live about 60% of our soul or our aspect outside ourselves, or spirit outside ourselves, which goes and helps everybody else. So when you're praying, you definitely are actually outside doing something, which is weird, but it's kind of really true. So I think, one, know who you are. Know who you're not, and then try and live every moment consciously asking yourself who you are in this moment, in this next moment, and what does this person like? How is she being or he being? What are her dreams? What's the intention? Asking these questions, they're very simple, but you'll be very amazed at how quickly it generates energy, and it just brings in passion, and it brings in that sense of authenticity, because then you know who you are.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shireen. Oh, you didn't tell the audience who you are and where they can find you, please.
All right. Okay. So I am Shireen Lovegrove, and I work with professional women who are struggling on their pregnancy journey. So they may be struggling with infertility or pregnancy complications, or having postnatal depression. And I help them to just stop, take a breath, reset their priorities so that they can confidently trust themselves to make the right decisions, whatever happens. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. So I'm around on all of that, and you can find me on my website, ShireenLovegrove.com.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Shireen. And I hope our audience are going to take your advice to actually search through who they are. It's a very, very powerful question. And when you do that, if you want to connect with Shireen, please do connect with Shireen. I don't have a website, but I have an email address. Now my email address and my website got hacked. Everything got hacked. So I didn't have an email. First, my website disappeared, and then the next thing was my email. But they managed to recover my emails. And so you can email me. I think my email is you can find it on Facebook, actually, info@hseia.com. I'll connect you with Shireen, or my phone number as well. My phone number is everywhere. You can find my office number or my mobile number. It was on Facebook as well. Just get in touch. If there is something you want to find out who you are, and live your life based on you. This is something that we decided to do. That's why we do what we do. I became a coach because I decided that I'm going to rediscover who I was. At that moment, I said on the part 2 yesterday that when I retired football, my next move was to go and train in America to become a professional wrestler. That was my next move. I became really serious about it. The only thing I think was left was for me to find accommodation and go and train. But then God said, no, sir, that's not your purpose. And that's why I do what I do today. He was like, that's not your purpose. That's not what I've put you on earth. You are to save people, but not like that. So I was like, okay, God, I'll do what you say. And I prayed about it. I needed confirmation. I was like, bring me my helpers. I went on a date thinking I'm going to find a man. I found a man that actually ended up saying, Nomsa, I love you very much. You're a nice girl, very, 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 very playful. But I think you'll be good becoming a matchmaker. Your mindset is way, way with mine. So he came and actually came. I thought we were going on a date the following day, and he came with all the matchmaking regulations to start a business. He had done some research and printed everything out. And that's what the prayer does. When you pray, and also I've put on the first video, the prayer that I use is raw power of God come upon me. Repeat it all the time, or power from on high, incubate my life. Or, oh God, ordain my feet like Joshua. You know the story of Joshua in the Bible. Oh God, ordain my dreams like Joseph. You know the story of Joseph. And then Ephata. Ephata means open. Ephata is spelled Efhrathy. So when you say Ephata, you are opening heaven for your blessings to come down. Blessings means creativity. If maybe there's a creativity that you need to rediscover about yourself, so you have to do that. And those prayers, you can find them on YouTube. When I have time, I'll put them here by Dr. Olukoya. They work. I don't do manifestation for finances anymore. I used to, but I don't, because I realize actually I can do more than that, even better. So that's what it is. Live with grace, everyone. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.